Welcome. This is my latest video on my series on the FLSUN Q5 3D printer. And if you find this video helpful, I'll put a link in the description to the hardware I'm using on Amazon. And if you use that link, it helps me out a little bit and doesn't cost you anything extra. I'll also put a link to my FLSUN Q5 playlist. So in this video, I'm going to go over the procedure to create a random 3D printed snowflake. So I'm doing this on a Mac, but the procedure will be very similar on Windows. So the first thing you need to do is download and install OpenSCAD. So I'm at the OpenSCAD website, it's openscad.org. I'll go to Downloads. I'll click on the version for my system. I'll hit Allow. I'll open up the image. So since I'm on a Mac, I'll just drag this over to the Applications folder. If you're on Windows, you'll probably run an installer. Okay, it looks like it transferred over. Next, I'll go on Thingiverse and I'll just search for Snowflake. And it should be one of the first options that comes up. You see the Snowflake machine. So I'll click on that. I'll download all files. So there is an online configurator where you can create your snowflakes, but I did not have any luck with it. Maybe it was busy when I tried to use it, so you could do that if you don't want to do it the way I'm showing here. So you can see here it says Open in Customizer. So I'll close this. I'll go into my Downloads folder. I'll open up the Snowflake machine. And I'm looking for the snowflakerator.scad. So I need to open up OpenSCAD. So I'll go to Applications. I'll double click on OpenSCAD. I should get an error message here. So it says it cannot be opened because the developer cannot be verified. I'll hit Cancel. So you're not going to have this on Windows. But on a Mac you'll have that message, so I'll go into my System Preferences. I'll go to Security and Privacy. I'll go to the General tab. I'll hit the lock in the bottom left. I'll type in my password. Then I'll hit Open Anyway. I'll hit Open, and now we'll open the software up. You don't have to do this the first time. So I'll click Open here. I'll allow it to access my Documents folder. I'll go to Downloads. I'll allow it to access my Downloads folder. I'll open up the Snowflake machine. I'll go to Files, and I'll open up snowflakerator.scad. I'll close this window. So I record these at 720p, so my screen is a little compacted. If you're on a 1080p screen or higher, this will look a little bit better. On the left here we have the code. So what OpenSCAD is it's software. It's 3D modeling software, but instead of dragging and dropping and doing things like that, you use math to create your objects. So, and I'm not versed in this at all. I'm just downloading it, and you don't have to know everything about this to use it. So you could say define a cube here, and it would draw a cube on the screen. So this is an algorithm here to create a snowflake. Now it has this customizer on the right side, so you could go through this code and modify it here, or you can use the customizer. So it's easier to use the customizer. So I'll just go through this. It says make a flake. So this is called the random seed. So these are random snowflakes. So this is the starting point for choosing a random number. So you can drag along the slider here. The slider doesn't seem to stay in place. I don't know if that's the OpenSCAD software, if it's made to do that, but you can drag it around, pick a number. You can also type a number in here. And here it says custom seed. It says overrides the slider seed unless set to 0. So you could type a number in here. So you could copy this number if you like the snowflake and paste it down below. And then keep that. And if you want to recreate this snowflake, you can use the same number. Next it says loop. Do you want to add a loop for hanging? And I want to say yes, because these could be hung on a window, or they could be hung on a Christmas tree. If you're going to place them on a table as a decoration, you may not want the loop. So here it says set snowflake style. So there's a lot of different settings here. I haven't really played with these, but feel free to play with them. You can change the look of your snowflakes. It says likelihood of branching, amount of overlap, chance of extra branch spikes, chance of extra plate rings, tendency for long branches, tendency for wide plates, thickness of the branches, pointiness of the corners, and then it says random natural style set to 0 for mathematically perfect flakes. So it's at 3 right now. So if you make this higher, they're more organic. If you make it lower, they're more mathematical. And here we have steps. It says number of design steps. So I'm just going to leave all these for defaults for the set snowflake style. Next, we have global size settings. This says approximate desired 6-step snowflake diameter. And this is at 100 millimeters. So my build plate is 200 millimeters. The larger it is, the longer it's going to take to print. I'm going to do 150 on this. And then here we have the thickness. Now I did a thin one before, and it was kind of hard to peel off the plate, and even a little bit thicker one would be kind of tricky to peel off the plate, but I wanted it to be a little bit sturdier, so I'll change this to 2. I'll leave the hanging loop at the size it's at, and I'll leave the hole in the loop at the size it's at. Next we have preview settings. This says largest diameter circle that fits on your build plate, so mine is 200. You don't have to fill this out. I think this is just for the display here. I'm scrolling this out with my touchpad. And now it says show plate circle. It says turn the gray build plate circle preview on or off, so if I turn that on, I can turn it on. There we go. It's going to show the build plate here. So my build plate is 200 millimeters, the snowflake is 150. So I'll go to advanced settings, and here we have scale factor. It says scale the snowflake down a smidge if it doesn't fit on your plate. So this allows you to shrink the snowflake a little bit. And then we have rotate angle. So I have a circular build plate, but if you had a square build plate, you potentially would want to rotate this a little bit to make it fit on your build plate. And then we have the nozzle size. And I'm at my default nozzle size. Okay, so I like this snowflake we're seeing here. I want to print this. So now we want to prepare it for print. So it has hotkeys, but you can go up to the design menu. So if you hit F5, it will preview it, okay? If you do F6, this will render it, and this will take a little while. So I'm going to hit this and I'll speed up the video. And you can see the status down here under console. Okay, that finished rendering. So I can go to 3D print, and it looks like it has an option for Octoprint. I haven't used that yet. I just download the STL file, so I'll click on that. I'll put that in my downloads folder. I'll save this. So now I'm finished in OpenSCAD. So I'll close out of this. I'll open up Cura. I'll open up my STL file. So now I need to change some settings. I still have settings from yesterday's project here. I did a temperature tower. You can find that video in my playlist. I'll remove those. I really should save my settings. So I'm going to print this at 0.2 millimeter profile. I want 100% infill. This is a very thin part. I don't know if it has any infill areas. I don't want support or adhesion. With the filament I'm using, and I'm using a Yusu pearlescent white filament, I found that it prints better at a lower setting. I have less stringiness. So I'll go into the advanced settings and I'll type temp, and I'll change this to 190. So I think that's all the settings I need. I'll hit slice. So it says our print time is 1 hour and 22 seconds, and it's going to cost us 27 cents. I'll hit save to file. I'll save it to my downloads folder. I'll replace the one that's already there. And now I'm done in Cura. Okay, so I have Octopi opened up here. I'll turn on my printer. I'll connect my printer. I'll start preheating this thing to 190 for the tool and 60 for the bed. I have my time lapse set up, although I'll probably also record this with my GoPro as the quality's a little bit better. Next I'll upload my G-code. So once this is heated up, I'll start the print. Okay, it looks like everything's almost up to temperature. I'll start this print and then we'll come back after it's finished. Okay, the print has completed. So I'll pull the skirting off around here. Now I found these can be kind of hard to remove. So I'll try and loosen some of these. It's pretty tight. So I'm just going to sprinkle some alcohol on here. I should spray this, but I haven't gotten a sprayer yet. This will seep under the print and it will loosen it up. And I have a paper towel nearby. And if you're not familiar with alcohol, don't use it near flames and stuff. This is currently turned off. I did let this cool down completely. So I'll see if this is starting to lift up now. Okay, it's loosened. If you're printing a lot of these, you'd probably want to get a plate that you can use, like a PEI plate, I think it's called. So I'm just pushing these to the side a little bit to loosen them up. There we go. Now I'll just use a paper towel to clean the alcohol off the print, and it'll also wipe down the print bed. Okay, so here's our snowflake. This is the front side of it. You can see the mounting hole doesn't look great. That could probably be cleaned up a little bit. The rest of it looks pretty good. Looks a little odd right here across this part. So I've made a couple of these. Here's a smaller one I made, and this was thinner. So I like these thicker. They're a little bit more durable, especially when you look at one like this. It only has this little connection here, so if this was thinner it wouldn't be quite as strong. I think these are, I forget the settings I used on all these, but they're really cool. So this one took over an hour to print. This one I think took 15-20 minutes. So it was a lot faster to print these small thin ones. And if you had a flexible plate, it would be very easy to pop these off, I'm guessing. It was kind of hard to take off because I didn't want to break it. But I really like the way this one turned out. I think that looks really cool. So I could hang that on a window, hang it on a Christmas tree, use it for some kind of holiday decoration. I don't know how UV is going to affect this. You know, if you have it hanging in a window, it might make it kind of brittle. So you'd want to take that into account if you're going to display this. Of course, you could just put these on the table and use them kind of like a trivet. I mean, you're not going to want to put anything hot on there, but you could, you know, decorate the table, you know, a bunch of these sitting around. If you're having a Christmas party, you could let your guests take one home, if, you know, as a memento. So, but yeah, I did get kind of inconsistent results with these. If you see the hangy thing here, it's got a little gap in it. This one looks better. This one looks pretty crappy. So I may be able to adjust some settings to make this look a little bit better. But I started this one out at 200, and it had a lot of stringiness in it, so I printed these two at 190. And this was with my Yusu white pearlescent filament, and I'll have a link to it in the description. So that's how you make a randomized snowflake. It can take a while to run all the code to get this STL file out. So if you want to make like 20 different snowflakes, there might be ways to automate that, and I may do a video on that in the future. We'll see. So in the meantime, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. If you like this video, please click like. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd appreciate it if you could do that. And thanks for watching. Until next time, goodbye.